Listen, man, do you understand the cost of being extraordinary? Like, genuinely, do you understand the cost of. No, matter of fact, scratch that. Have you ever even actually sat down and thought about the word itself? Like, the word extraordinary. Have you ever actually sat down and thought about the word itself, how it's constructed? You know what I mean? Now, I don't know about you, but in high school, I took Latin, right? I took Latin class. Um, that's a long story. You know what I mean? I hated that class, but it did teach me some very valuable things about the English language. You know what I mean? If you don't know what Latin is, it's a dead language, but majority of the English language was formed from Latin, man, or a good portion of it. I'm not gonna sit here and say majority. You know what I mean? But I think it is majority, but a large portion of the English language was formed from Latin. And one of the main lessons that we were taught, you know what I mean, in my Latin class was word parts, you know what I mean? Breaking down words, because every word itself has a meaning, you know what I mean? There are actually different parts to different words that cause it to have a certain meaning, right? Like this part of the word, this first half of the word might come from the Latin meaning of this, you know what I mean? Long story short, blah, blah, blah. Let's break down extraordinary, right? I just kind of gave it away to you. Extraordinary, extraordinary. You know what I mean? I need you guys to understand that if you want to be extraordinary in life, you need to do things that the ordinary person sees as extra. You know what I mean? Now, if you guys see me looking down, I'm sorry. I'm looking down at my phone. You know what I mean? I got my notes right here. But yeah, if you want to be extraordinary, you need to do the things that the ordinary person would deem as extra. And that is exactly what will get you to, you know what I mean, where you want to be. That is exactly what will make you stand out enough to, you know what I mean, become a star. That'll make you stand out enough to become extraordinary. So, what do I mean when I say this, you guys? I want you to sit and think about the ordinary person right now, right? Like, sit and think about, especially the ordinary American. I'm not sure if you guys are all in America right now or not, but I'm located in America. So, for this example, you know what I mean? We'll just use America. Stop and try and think about the average American, right? The average American is overweight. The average American is broke. You know what I mean? A large portion of Americans are unemployed still. The average American is lazy. The average American is fighting for the wrong causes. You know what I mean? The men aren't masculine. The women aren't feminine. Like, you know what I mean? The average American is just objectively not someone you want to be, right? The average American is not happy. You know what I mean? The average American doesn't live a happy life. Of course, there are large portions of us out here that are living that happy life. They're successful. They're in shape. You know what I mean? There's a good amount of people out there. But when compared to the greater population, you guys, that percentage is extremely small. Like, I mean, so small, it's crazy. Like, people use the term the 1%, and that's to describe like the 1% of the population that's actually successful and, you know what I mean, extremely valuable, making money, in shape, whatever. Cool. I go as far as to say that, I don't know, man. In 2026, bro, it's probably less than 1%, bro. It is probably less than 1% of people that have a combination of are a millionaire, and I'm not even a millionaire, exactly. You know what I mean? So I don't even fall into this 1% rule. You know what I mean? But yeah, I say that to say. But yeah, there's probably even less than 1% of people that are a millionaire, that are, you know what I mean, in shape, that are not lazy. They get up and they get to it every day. They're hustlers. You know what I mean? They have love in their life and good connections, and they're deemed successful by the general public. You know what I mean? That is probably less than 1% of the population. So I say that to say, you guys, you have to think about how they all got there. You know what I mean? They all got there doing the same certain things, right? Because they're all getting the same certain results. If you want, you know what I'm saying, to have the same results as somebody, copy their actions, copy what you see them do. If you want to have a different result, you do something different for a different outcome. You know what, like it's very commonly, it's a very simple concept. Now, with that being said, so many of Americans have got this terrible result, right? This undesirable result. And then I guess the next question you'd have to ask yourself is, what does the average American do every single day? They probably wake up at a time that they don't want to wake up, right? Contributing to them being unhappy, contributing to them being restless, or you know what I mean, under rested. They probably commute to a job that they hate. You know what I mean? 9 to 5. That's the majority of society. 9 to 5. They probably wake up. They probably commute to a job that they hate. Right? The rat race. This entire thing I'm describing is the rat race. Commute to a job that they hate. They work that same job for what? 8 hours, maybe longer. Some people are working 12-hour shifts. If you have to work a double or whatever, it might be longer than that. You know what I mean? So people are commuting to work, probably staying there a majority of their day. Say it's the standard 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3 shift, whatever. Let's use 9 to 5. You wake up 9 a.m., you would much rather still be in the bed. Cool. You commute all the way to work to a job that you hate. You stay there. You work for a boss that, you know what I mean, he's an a-hole and you don't like him either. And he's rude to you all the time. And you work that job anyway because you have to put food on the table. You have to be able to provide for yourself, your family, whatever. You probably leave that job and you go home, you're too tired to do anything else, so you don't feel like working out. You skip the gym. You know that your New Year's resolution was to get in the gym, but you skip the gym because you can't push yourself to go. After you skip the gym, you go home. Well, pause. You don't go home because you know you have no groceries in the fridge. You know what I mean? You need to go and get, I know this is a very elaborate story, but I have to be extremely detailed for you guys to vividly see this in your head. You know what I mean? Because this is a lot of people's reality. There's no groceries in the fridge, man. So you decide, okay, I still need to eat. You know what I mean? So that little bit of money that you do have, that small little bit of money that you could have been saving, you decide to go and spend that money on what? Some fast food. So boom, you skip the gym. Now you go and get some McDonald's, some Wendy's, some whatever, some Taco Bell, some terrible, low quality fast food that they're pushing out to us as the masses. You know what I mean? And you eat that food, blah, blah, blah. You do that nearly every day. You start getting chubby. You go home after that. You don't have the energy because you've been working all day to, you know what I mean, build the business of your dreams or the business that you've been planning to start for however long. So instead of building the business, you go home, you binge watch Netflix, and you fall asleep, and you do it all over again, right? On the weekends, on your off days, you hit the club because you just want some type of social life. You want to have some type of meaning, right? And when you do that, you drain your pockets even more. You're around a bunch of people drinking, smoking, just people that are also trying to escape their day-to-day reality. And then when Monday rolls back around, you do it all over again, right? That is what the average American's life looks like, right? Just working a dead-end job, having barely enough money to get by, not going to the gym and staying healthy or on top of their fitness, not building a business or building toward an escape route or the life that they want. You know what I mean? And partying, drinking, smoking, whatever on the off days. Like this is clockwork, right? Now, that is the ordinary person. Like I said, you guys. Now, for you to be extraordinary, as I said before, you have to be willing to do things that the ordinary person deems as extra. You know what I mean? So maybe you're tired, you're working this dead-end job too because you're trying to get out of this rat race, right? We all have been there. I mean, I'm still working my job right now too. But I get up every single day, you know what I mean? And I go to work and I leave work and I head straight to the gym. I don't give myself any time to think about it. I don't stop at home. I don't stop to eat. I head straight to the gym. You know what I mean? I have my food meal prepped. I grocery shopped already. I have my food meal prepped. Come to the house. All I got to do is pop it in the microwave, warm it up. You know what I mean? I eat. And you know what I mean? I come here. After that, I film this video because I'm trying to build my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build some type of, you know what I mean, something going for myself. And I'm also chasing a real estate license. You know what I mean? I'm halfway through that process of being licensed. Now, that is not to say that, you know what I mean, I feel like I'm doing better than anyone else because, like I said, we're all in this together, you guys, and we all want the same thing. We all want to be successful. But I'm highlighting that to say that the vast contrast between what I believe personally, this is all opinion based again, that you should be doing, you know what I mean, to be considered extraordinary, to be extraordinary. I feel like you have to take those steps. You have to do it when you're tired. You have to go to the gym anyways. You know what I mean? You have to come home and you have to eat healthy, even though it would be much easier to eat the fast food. You have to come home and you have to build the business. You know what I mean? Although it would be so much easier to lay down and watch Netflix. You have to come home and you have to just get to it and build until your life changes for the better. And you know what I mean? Once you have the results, people start considering you to be extraordinary. Why? Because you didn't do the same things that the ordinary person did. You did what the ordinary person would deem as probably extra. And that's what got you to where you are, man. I hope you guys took something from this video, man. I know it took me a long time to get to my point tonight, but you know, it's late, man. I'm tired, but I'm still right here filming for y'all. I'm still getting to it, man. So for that, I pray you leave me a like, man. Like, comment, subscribe, and as you know, we posting every day, so I will see you tomorrow.